and he is in Agra.
Okay. Good afternoon.
I can see a very young participant, Rinki. Hello, Rinki. Good to see you. Yes, Akanksha, please go ahead.
Good afternoon, everyone, and a very warm
good afternoon. Very good afternoon
to each of you in No Disasters 15th webinar. I'm editor of your No Disasters magazine, and for those of you who are new to us, No Disasters it's a bi-monthly magazine, and it has been promoting knowledge transfer and dissemination of information on all aspects of disaster risk management by demystifying and simplifying the disaster risk reduction measures to all the stakeholders, including the common men and women. Every 2 months, we bring out your magazine themed around crucial aspects of disasters. And today we are discussing mainstreaming DRR for resilient future. As you know, disasters and development are clearly related. Poorly planned development can intensify vulnerability and cause devastation in the face of hazard, but at the same time, wise or risk-sensitive development practices may reduce vulnerability. We know that. We have heard that. Now, when I'm saying mainstreaming DRR into development practices, I also mean internalizing DRR into initiatives aimed for DRR. To give you a context of heat wave and green energy, I recently read a report about how green energy initiatives in Rajasthan have actually increased its vulnerability. The celebrated movement of solar energy panels in Rajasthan has contributed to an increase of heat waves and pressure, and it has created huge pressure on local water resources. How? Because contractors responsible for implementing solar energy products did rampant deforestation to make space for solar plants, and they brutally used nearby water resources to extract water for cleaning and maintaining those solar panels. So, though aimed at DRR, would you call it DRR? And this is why we need to development and we really need to develop and redevelop the idea of hazard, vulnerability, risk, exposure, DRR, and mainstreaming DRR for truly achieving resilience. Our four eminent speakers today would throw more light on it in an effort to understand aspects of DRR and resilience. So let me quickly introduce. We have with us today Anil Kumar Sinha, who is a retired IAS officer. Sir is the honorary chief editor of No Disasters magazine and has more than 40 years of work experience in the field of disaster management. He has also been the senior advisor of Sphere India, senior advisor of Center for Disaster Management, Lal Bahadur Shastri National Academy of Administration. He has also been the founder, vice chairman of Bihar State Disaster Management Authority, founder, executive director of National Institute of Disaster Management in India, and founder, program advisor of international recovery platforms. Now we know that as UNDP. Sir has been advocating and working on taking the idea of DRR and resilience to the last mile where it's needed the most, to the field, to the farmers, to the kitchen, to the housewives, to the children, and to every common man. Thanks for being here, sir. You are an inspiration. Another speaker with us is our beloved Dinesh Kumar Mishra, sir. Sir is not well, yet he is here today. Thank you very much, sir. Sir has dedicated his life to telling us about the destruction brought by infrastructure-centric flood control measures on rivers, especially rivers of the Ganga basin in North Bihar. He has helped us see the impact of flood control infrastructure like embankments. He believes India's flood control policy revolves mainly around embankments, resulting in severe environmental problems. And that's why sir keeps asking me कि मुझे बता दो कि मुझे क्या नहीं बोलना है, क्योंकि कई दफा मैं बोलता हूँ तो लोगों को बुरा लग जाता है. He has raised the issue of floods, waterlogging, and the link with infrastructure at state, national, and international levels. Sir has written several books, reports, and research papers that have inspired many individuals. He has, Sir also has a PhD, and he also holds this doctorate from University of South Gujarat and has been an Ashoka Fellow. He has received several awards for his laying the foundation of an extensive knowledge base on river floods. And through his persistent efforts of over 3 decades, he has helped change how river floods are understood and managed. The approach, the aspect, of floods, using an approach that respects the natural cycle of floods, founded on local knowledge. He has robustly challenged the mainstream flood control approach. Presently, sir is working on the publication and release of his new book, which will come in 8 volumes. You can read more about him in the section Pioneers of DRR in India that is published in this issue of KNOW Disasters magazine. Thank you, Dinesh sir, once again for being here.
Thank you.
We are fortunate to have with us today Brigadier Vinod Dutta as a speaker today. Doctor, he's also he's also a PhD. So Dr. Dutta is a multidimensional personality. I'll speak in brief. Sir has almost 3 decades of experience in disaster management. He is presently a senior advisor and member of Center for Research and Consultancy Committee at Center for Disaster Management Studies, Guru Gobind Singh Indraprasth University, New Delhi. Sir is also a senior consultant at National Institute of Disaster Management, New Delhi. Thank you, sir. Thank you for being here. Thank you for accepting the invitation. And we look forward to your speech today. Next, we will also hear Vandana Chauhan. Ma'am has 20 years of work experience in disaster risk reduction, gender, children, and climate change adaptation. She has successfully coordinated joint projects with various government, non-government, national and international agencies. She has been leading the comprehensive school safety and security program sponsored by UNICEF in 5 states of India. Ma'am has also led the research and documentation of impact of heat waves on children in Gujarat and Bihar, and she has worked on many other important reports and projects. अगर मैं नाम लेने लग जाऊंगी तो बहुत list लंबी है. Ma'am is also our senior editor and strategic advisor. Thanks, Vandana ma'am. Thanks for being here. And let me quickly introduce you about the moderator. The webinar is going to be moderated by me and Colonel Sanjay sir. Sanjay sir is leading Climate Resilient Observing Systems Promotion Council, an organization formed to bridge the gap in impact-based weather, climate change, and pollution information services, policy advocacy, and lateral use of climatology in agriculture, etc. Cropsy, his organization is known for highlighting lightning not only as a disaster, but towards lightning resilient India. He has several years of work experience in the field of DRR and expertise in disaster management with disaster management. And now, with this, over to you, Sanjay sir.
Namaskar. Thank you, Akansha. And a very warm good afternoon, lovely good afternoon, because Delhi had a lovely showers, and after that, despite a sunny day, it's a cool day. So a lot of good breeze is there, and I could feel that during my journey now from Noida to Vasant Kunj. So a very warm welcome to everyone. And Akansha gave, though she briefly described everybody, but only one word sentence description for the galaxy of speakers today we have, that they are the pioneers of disaster management in India, and all of them are global personalities. So thank you very much. I would quickly hand it over to our esteemed editor-in-chief, Shri Anil Kumar Sinha sir, for his deliberation over the event today. Over to you, sir.
Welcome.
Thank you.
Welcome,
Thank
sir.
you. Thank you, and namaste, Sanjay and Akanksha, for the wonderful, introduction to the event. Akanksha has been really working hard, and she is on the front line, so she is on the firing line also, you say, because if you are on the front line, then you face all the fire. But I think she faces it sometimes coolly, but most of the times very valiantly with her own force, you see. Thank you, Akanksha. Let me first of all welcome perhaps the youngest member here, Rinki. I could see her photograph a couple of minutes back, a very young little girl. Maybe there are some young participants also, but I can't make out from the names. In case my colleagues know, then I'd like to really welcome them personally. And why I'm welcoming Rinki, first of all, because in the events to come and in the years and decades to come, you know, it is children like Rinki and her classmates and, playmates and the brothers and sisters who are going to be at the forefront of leadership in our country, you see. So in the coming events, I'll be happy to see more and more of children and youngsters, you see. We are devising a strategy of getting into the network of National Cadet Corps, you see. Recently, let me share that I went through a dissertation, wonderful dissertation done by an officer from Navy, Indian Navy, and that was a National Cadet Corps, NCC. It really opened my eyes about NCC. I think when I was in the school, maybe 40, 50 years back, then I was also a member of NCC. And but then to know that by now there are the membership of National Cadet Corps runs into 40 lakhs or more than that, and they have a alumni association also. So we really want to connect with them, and that is the strategy which we are making, to involve the youngsters into our mission. That is one thing. Then I can see. I would like to once again welcome Professor Dinesh Mishra ji, Guru हैं, and हमसे बहुत जल्दी बातचीत मुलाकात नहीं होती, लेकिन पटना में जब थे तो हम कोशिश करते थे. और सर, आप इस चीज की चिंता तो जैसा आप जानते हैं, पटना में इन बिहार स्टेट डिजास्टर मैनेजमेंट अथॉरिटी, which is authority created by the government. There also I was clear that people like and experts and visionaries, I would say. Expert is a very small word to describe Professor Dinesh Mishra. He's spent lifetime. And we need to know the stories, which Professor Mishra has collected in the last 40, 50 years. And so No Disasters is a people's platform, see. It's a society's platform. So, sir, it is your platform. Kindly own it. You are the patron, you are the visionary, you are the leader of this platform. And therefore, sir, please never again in future ask anyone कि भाई हम आएंगे तो ये कहेंगे वो कहेंगे. हम तो चाहते थे कि BSDMA में नीतीश कुमार जी चेयरमैन आए और आपकी बात सुने. जब वो दिन होगा तभी सर हम लोग सही रूप में सही बातों को सामने ला करके सही पर्सपेक्टिव में सुन सकेंगे. और मैंने देखा था कि विजय कुमार चौधरी जी, who was irrigation minister, he used to listen. But anyway, so let me now welcome Shri Gauri Shankar Sharma from Australia. It must be nearing midnight, but he's a constant, great support. And we have known each other for now 20, 30 years. Great colleague, Brigadier Vinod Dutta, you see, from NIDM and Guru Gobind Singh, Indraprasth University. I had requested Professor Amarjit Kaur, but maybe she couldn't come, but she will join later on. Colleague like Asif, Altamash, Dr. Rajni Shrivastava is, I have not seen another person, let me say, with the kind of devotion and attachment to the subject, like Rajni Shrivastava from Lucknow, Ashok, Aman Joshi, Komal, Satyaji is there, Rajia Shakil, Vandana, Major General Nayak is a great, again, pillar of disaster management of what is happening in India, you see. Afreen is there, and now we have 51 participants. I think in the couple of minutes I didn't see, suddenly the participation has gone beyond 50. And Professor Ved Tripathi ji is a very, very senior academic. We get his guidance into another group, which is a network which he has created of disaster management professionals in Asia, you see. And so kindly pardon me if I have left some names, Now coming Atul Aditya Pandey ji, I must really acknowledge his presence. He is a professor in Patna University. We have worked closely. He has also headed the Patna School of Art, and we worked very closely in the initial days of Bihar State Disaster Management Authority in developing the logo and things like that. Arun Mishra ji was also there, in those days. He created the song. Maybe if there is time, then we can hear him later on. Now, let me just say a couple of things before we go over to the experts. That, today I am reminded of 50s, my childhood. Now 2 things about my childhood. Jab hum bacche the, 2 things. One thing which I remember is the stories. That was the age of his stories, 50s, 60s, maybe 70s also. Chanda Mama ki story, Betal ki kahaniyan, and things like that. Children, we were young, 5, 6, 7, 10 years, 12 years, and we would be eager every day to hear the stories from our elders, Nani, Dadi, mothers, all that. But as we have progressed and made lot of progress, scientific progress, lot of rationality, lot of evidence-based and things like that, unfortunately, stories have lost their relevance. Because whenever we talk of anything, even in disaster management, if I start telling you about a story, then you will tell me, sir, kya stories pe time waste kar rahe hain? Let us come to the brass tacks. Let's come to something which is more concrete. Let's talk of something which is scientific. Let's talk of something which is evidence-based. But then it's not that, his stories did not have evidence. His stories were based on a lot of experiences. His stories were based on, the folklore, the traditions, what has happened in the past. There were a lot of lessons in these stories, And that is how his stories, with the innate attraction about his stories, children were attracted towards his stories. They learned a lot. I suppose for most of us who are here, in 50s, 60s, 70s, etc., like I'm into 70s, I think our personalities, our thinking, our approach has been molded by the stories which we heard from our elders. And therefore, I am trying to emphasize the importance of this story. As far as I am concerned, I learned about disasters, my first interface for disasters was with a story, which my mother, who is no more, my mother, father, they are all, looking at me from the heavens. And every day and every moment, I keep getting their blessings. You see, she used to tell me stories about the disaster which happened in North Bihar in 1934. Very soon we'll be reaching 100 years of that event, Next year will be 90 years of that event in 2024. 1934, India-Nepal border, there was very, very big, more than 8 on the Richter scale, an earthquake. And 10,000 people. In one book, even today I was reading, which was describing, it was a book by Professor R.K. Bhandari. It has described and captured a little bit the story of that earthquake. Now, whole of North Bihar had been destroyed, And my mother then, she herself was a child, like Rinki. My mother must have been of the age of Rinki. And she had witnessed that earthquake of 1934. In that earthquake which she witnessed, in a place called Darbhanga in North Bihar, which is bordering Nepal, and I was posted in a district Madhubani, I'm sure all of you have heard, which is north of Darbhanga and bordering Nepal. But then Madhubani was a part of Darbhanga, you see. But my mother had witnessed the shaking of the buildings. They were on top of their house, and then they had seen that kind of shaking. My father was in Munger. He had also seen, he had also told me. That is how my first interface with the disaster started with, way back in 50s and 60s. So what I have been saying in No Disasters magazine, you see, Akanksha very ably and very eloquently described the objective and the mission of No Disasters. Our mission is making disasters everyone's businesses. In last 30, 40 years, India, as along the world, world over, and India also, tremendous changes have come in the field of disaster management. Tremendous reforms have taken place. Professor Gauri Shankar Sharma has been a witness to that in Japan, where we were together. Now he's seeing it in Australia. International Decade for Natural Disaster Reduction is started, followed by the international strategy, then UN DRR, the Millennium Development Goals were there, SDGs were there. We had Yokohama call for action. Then we have in Kobe, Kyoto Framework for Action, and the SFDRR, Sendai Framework for Disaster Risk Reduction.
And also, you are the part of the IRP, International Recovery Platform. You were the chief of that. Okay, build back better. That was the concept.
Thank you. Thank you. I thank you for reminding, and I'm just telling my colleagues, Akanksha, that let us devote one issue on recovery. That is what Gauri Shankar is reminding. The International Recovery Platform is about recovery. So let us devote one of the issues on recovery use. So let me now close, by saying that, you see, in India, we have now policies are there. We have National Action Plan, State Action Plans. National Authority is there, Disaster Management Authority, headed by none other than the Prime Minister. Every state has got a Disaster Management Authority headed by the Chief Minister. Every district has an authority. And tremendous initiatives like International Solar Alliance, and then Coalition for Disaster Resilient Infrastructure. All these things have taken place. So while on one level, tremendous developments have taken place, not only at the national level, but at the state level also, there has been attempt to work at the level of panchayats and municipalities also. Let me acknowledge that. And despite that, what surprises me, what amazes me, what shocks me, is the fact that still there is a big disconnect with the common man. The common man, the citizens, you see, out there on the roads. And during the pandemic, we saw the disconnect with the migrant labor. And every day, whenever there's a little disaster or something like that, and then road accidents keep taking every day, every minute in our country, I am reminded of this disconnect, huge disconnect between what we are doing from the government platform, and what is happening, our not being able to reach out to the common man. And our mission is a very, very humble, but very ambitious and almost impossible, I would say, mission of making disasters everyone's business. What is required, first of all, is to demystify and simplify what we call, like today we are calling mainstreaming DRR. Now, for a common man, I don't know, on mainstreaming, I do not know how many seminars, workshops would have been held by NIDM, NDMA, UN on mainstreaming, understanding mainstreaming. And then DRR, the evolution from relief to disaster management, to risk reduction, to disaster risk reduction, etc. And then if we come out with the title, mainstreaming DRR for resilient tomorrow, then I keep wondering, I keep sending my invites to very common people, my acquaintances who have nothing to do as such with disaster risk reduction use. And I expect them I really request them to participate. But at the same time, I also keep wondering whether even the title makes sense to them. And how to demystify, these kinds of titles, how to simplify and reach out to these people. So, well, this is the concern which I have shared. We need to, that is why we started a Hindi section, but even Hindi section is so very difficult to manage, ask Akanksha. And our aim is to really, reach out to whole of India and South Asia and all the languages, all the languages of all our regions and states in the country. So that is the kind of a task which we have taken. Well, I'm sure with so many of us, with youngsters joining, we should be able to make a step-by-step move in that direction. So with this hope, let me close, whatever I had to say right in the beginning. Over to Sanjay ji. Thank you. And thank you once again, everyone, for joining. We are going to have some very good discussion in the next 1 hour or so.
Thank you so much, sir. In fact, just a testimony to what you said, sir. We started working in Balasore, Bhadrak, Mayurbhanj in Panchayat. And this year we have ensured a 0 lightning death in Balasore. So that's from the highest deaths to the 0 death. Before we move forward, sir, I'll request you to do the honor and release the magazine, sir.
Okay,
It's
please let us
online
have
being
it.
shared, sir. I'll request you shower your blessing. This is the
No.
magazine.
Let everyone join hands to really release, and launch this magazine. I will like to, like we jointly light the lamp, diya jalate hain. So let all of us launch this. Wonderful.
Send us your clap emojis.
Yeah, please. Let's go over through the pages.
So the theme is very important. Mainstreaming DRR in resilient future. So we are mainstreaming DRR today for resilient tomorrow. I'm reminded of the Kohima wall epitome, which is written for their tomorrow we gave our today. So mainstreaming DRR today for resilient tomorrow. This is the cover page, followed by our communication new media house, the indexes, No Disasters magazine, the message editorial from editor-in-chief, our esteemed Shri Anil Sinha sir. This is a Lightning Resilient India campaign. This I have shared in the Doordarshan interview also, sir, and yesterday also at the NIDM program. This is the article, statistically impossible heat exchanges are here. Good article, sir. This is the deadly heat waves. Good article written by Rabi Devnath and her colleague. This is impact and mitigation measures for heat wave in India. This is by our speaker. She'll be covering this. Vandana ma'am. Risk of front events, Dr. Ajay Kumar Srivastava, agrometeorologist in College of Agriculture, Madhya Pradesh. This is very important for farmers. And now we have our senior colleague, Dr. Mishra sir, Dinesh Mishra sir, water war, not for scarcity, but for abundance. He'll be speaking on the topic. Then we have building resilience through traditional irrigation system. This is again by Mudita Raj and Dr. Rakesh Tiwari. And then we have another article on capacity building for resilience and DRR from Mr. Rajkumar Gadi and Army Almero. Then meet pioneers of DRR in India by again Dinesh, Dr. Dinesh Mishra sir, understanding GIS and remote sensing based application by Dr. Somnath Beda, crowd management for disaster management, case of Pandharpur. Then we have current trends and issues regarding public transport in urban areas by Ayan Arora. And how to prevent asbestos exposure during disasters. This is by Franklin Shen. And then news and trends, G20, youth from Latin American countries at CDRI to discuss DRR. In fact, there was another meeting of G20 at Gujarat, where the collaboration with the civil society organization was talked out. And there was another G20 meeting at Mumbai, where the risk, financing the risk, that was also held. Then various other measures, and India is taking up very good steps in G20 in leveraging the good practices of India to the G20 countries. This is in answer to Mr. Gauri Shankar Sharma's question. So the magazine is here, and this is an article by Dr. Veena B. Kushwaha.
Not an article, her review.
This is a response from DDU Gorakhpur University. And then Children's Corner, interesting pictures. And then investing in DRR for resilience, design, method, and knowledge in the face of climate change. This is a book. And then textbook of disaster management. And this is the National Forensic Science University, Gujarat advertisement, and second Protector International Award for Excellence in Forensic Science and Cybersecurity 2023. So here we are.
Sanjay ji, before you proceed, I think we should acknowledge the presence of two people. One, Professor Chandan Ghosh, I think from NIDM, he is there. And one, Dr. Bala Prasad from Indian Forest Service, who retired as Secretary in the Government of India. Please go ahead. Thank you, Chandan Ghosh Sahab and Bala Prasad ji for your presence. Yes, Sanjay ji, please go ahead.
So thank you. Welcome, Professor Chandan Ghosh and Mr. Bala Prasad. As I move forward, Jai Hind to Brigadier Vinod Dutta, and I'll request you, sir, to start your deliberation.
Thank you.
We are slightly running late of the time, sir, so time is,
No.
Yes.
I'll be very, very surgical in my speech. Can I share the screen?
Yeah, sure. Althmas, can you make him host or co-host?
I have made him co-host.
Okay.
Sir, please share the screen.
Yes, please go ahead, Datta ji.
Yes, sir. Okay, now, since we are time critical, I'll be as crisp as Lay's chips, to the point, interesting and focused. Now, we all know what disaster risk resilience or disaster risk reduction is all about. Now, I'll just give you, a backdrop that why India, as Anil Sinha ji has already brought out, and I must thank him for providing me this opportunity to interact with such a galaxy of disaster management practitioners. I also want to thank Akanksha, Sanjay Srivastava, and some very, very senior colleagues, Dr. Chandan Ghosh and General Naik, and various other people. Now, if you see, since 2004, India follows a policy of not accepting any aid from any country. And India has decided to shed its image of an aid seeker to an aid giver. Because we have already brought out that, yes, we are a regional power and we have a very large footprint as far as the disaster aid is concerned. The recent example was Turkey, though we didn't have very good relations with that country, but still we were the first one to land there, and our teams did a wonderful job, which you all have seen on print as well as electronic media. However, the country always welcomes if there is any aid which is being given by individuals, by nations, or by NGOs at their own will. Now, if you see the main stakeholders, if you see, They are, you see, the government is the biggest stakeholder, and the armed forces also play a very major role. Of course, the role of people, it is very, very important, because I consider them as the first stakeholders. And then the various, you see, the SDRF or the NDRF and NDMA and various other institutional framework comes into play. Now, if you see, there is no such thing as a natural disaster. There are only natural hazards. Now, if you see, disaster risk reduction aims to reduce the damage and the natural hazards like earthquake, floods, droughts. Now, it is a disaster risk reduction in the concept of practice of reducing. But अक्सर ये देखा गया है, और हमारे यहाँ खासकर, कि इसका केवल जिक्र और फिक्र होता है, क्योंकि anything which is not translated into action, it has no meaning. So what we require is that reducing the exposure to hazards, lessening the vulnerability of people and property, and wise management of land and environment, and improving preparedness events are all examples of disaster risk reduction. I'm touching slide basics also for those destiny designers जो भारत के भाग्य विधाता हैं या मुस्तकबिल हिंदुस्तान हैं, जैसे रिंकी या उतरे यंग लोग यहाँ बैठे हुए हैं. सिन्हा सर ने बताया, who himself is an authority on disaster management, क्योंकि अब कहते हैं ना कि ए वतन अब तुम्हारे हवाले दोस्तों. Now, definition we all know, so I will not labor much on it. Now, there are certain aspects of disaster risk reduction. First is the disaster mitigation, both in structural and non-structural measures undertaken to limit the adverse impact of the hazards, like planting of mangroves. If you see Bay of Bengal, which is considered as the cyclone breeder, you will realize that mangroves play a very, very important role. Their roots, you see, and the shoot, both are so intertwined that they reduce the impact of those wind factor, and they act as the first, wall of defense. Early warning. In India, early warning, we have come a long way. If you see, Odisha has done a wonderful job. If you see 432 kilometer of coastline, they have right from Kendrapada to Jagat Singhpur. I mean, large number of shelters have been there. There are mics, there are other PA system. Disaster preparedness. Now, this is one thing which I want to tell you, that people think that हर आदमी ये सोचता है कि साहब मैं तो संजीवनी बूटी खा के आया हूँ, मरेगा कोई और. What people should be told is that it is everybody's responsibility. It is not the administration. It is not the disaster management practitioners. Everybody, this society plays a very, very important role. So the community has to be, empowered. Now, volunteers, if you see, in 1999, Rajasthan had a directorate of volunteerism. It has, pata nahi kahan gum ho gayi. Lekin Kerala has done a wonderful job. If you see Kerala floods, the youngsters, they got together and they did a wonderful job. They made, makeshift rafts. They, removed the batteries of the car because they knew that the cars are going to be damaged. And they charged the telephone so that the people were connected. Next is recovery. So youngsters have to be told. Now, you see, the coming generation, I have all respect for them. They are intelligent, they are more resourceful, they have more reach. But the problem is, you see, because of this internet and, this gizmo which you have in your hand, you see, everybody is now depending on, Google or WhatsApp University. If somebody else will do my job. So the kids have to be told, even if you ask a kid to make his bed or to, look for a emergency kit in the house, I'm sure he won't be able to locate it. So they have to be educated. Now, if you see, Tamil Nadu has done a very good job in volunteers. They are doing a yeoman service. Recovery, decision and actions taken after disaster with view to restoring, improving the pre-disaster living conditions. Now, you see, what happens is that it is not that you are only there, to support media, to, impress media or to impress public. You have to have real recovery plans where assessment is required and people have to be relocated. People have to be relocated. Then support to livelihood. Projects that strengthen or diversify livelihoods, that the individuals or the households should develop strategies to reduce risk. for example, home guards. Then improve nutrition and increase reserves for time of drought. Recovery and relief doesn't mean that, you airdrop something and it is of no use. So the requirement, like you have different requirement for ladies, you have different requirement for lactating mothers, you have different requirement for youngsters and senior citizens. Yeah. Now let's see the legal framework which is available. Now DRR, Disaster Management Act 2005 came into being. Now let me tell you one thing. इतने साल हो गए हैं उसको. आज भी आप देखिए, because I have been associated with a lot of relief and recovery programs where I was the Secretary Defense Crisis Management Group. आप believe नहीं करेंगे. I'll give you an example of Nepal earthquake. A lot of cooked food was coming. People were, donating generously. Initially, we used to lift the, stuff and send it to Kathmandu. Then we realized that people were not accepting it, and it was April time. It was very hot, and the food was going bad. Since the food was lying on the tarmac, the Air Force guys told us that please have it removed. Otherwise, we will have bird hit cases. Even till today, you will realize that there is no warehousing facilities which is close to the airport or the technical area near Palam. Of course, one battalion has now been sanctioned, which will be placed in Gurgaon. Otherwise, stuff coming all the way from Ghaziabad to Palam, you can imagine that, it will only reach till cows come home. Policy and plans. Now, you see, India, man, there is no dearth of policies, framework, advisories, guidelines. But execution is the biggest problem. वो कहते हैं ना, तू भी रानी, मैं भी रानी, कौन भरेगा पानी? The biggest problem is who has to execute things on ground. Those things should be there. हमारे यहाँ इतनी, after action report बनती हैं, इतने, lessons learned होते हैं. मैं लोगों से ये पूछना चाहता हूँ कि भाई आप ये देखिए कि आपने lessons applied कहाँ किया? People should be asked. You see why Indian Army is one of the most effective organization of the country is because we are the people. We are the people where the leadership is accountable. If something goes wrong, if your operations fail, you are eased off. So that kind of accountability has to be there. It is not that, I'll be sitting at the helm of affairs, but I will not be held accountable. Then the budget allocation. You see, in India today, there is no dearth of funds. They are being misspent. They are being misutilized. They are just lying unutilized. I remember I had gone to a state where I asked them after the tabletop exercise, I said, I want to see all the ambulances. So they could muster only 5, 6. I said, yeah, you are showing almost 40 ambulances in the city. So I said, okay, sir, then I went. वहां एक एम्बुलेंस पेड़ से बनी हुई थी. तो आई आस्क्ड द एसडीएम, आई सेड, मैंने कहा एसडीएम साहब ये क्या है? कहते सर चोरी हो जाएगी. मैंने कहा क्यों? टायर नहीं है. तो मैंने कहा टायर क्यों नहीं है? उन्होंने कहा कि सर हमने डीएम साहब को लिखा है, वहां से आएंगे तब हम देंगे. मैंने कहा भाई, एक बड़ा अच्छा शेर मुझे याद आता है कि खुदा ने इंसान को बनाया इंसानियत के वास्ते. खुदा ने इंसान को बनाया इंसानियत के वास्ते, वरना तात के लिए कारोबियां बहुत थे. तो मैंने कहा खिदमत के लिए कम से कम आप इतने बड़े आदमी हैं, किसी की तरफ देख भी लेंगे तो एक रिम पे 2 टायर लगा जाएगा. तो मैंने कहा मेहरबानी करके इसको ऑन रोड करिए और इसको मैंने कहा भैंस की तरह यहाँ बांधिए मत. इसको रेलवे स्टेशन या बस स्टैंड पे खड़ा कर दिए. गांव से कोई आता है बेचारा, उसको डिस्ट्रिक्ट हॉस्पिटल ले जाएगा. मैंने कहा आपको दुआएं मिलेंगी. एंड देन लेटर ऑन इट वाज नाइस ऑफ हिम, ही रैंग मी अप, ही सेड सर वो एम्बुलेंस ऑन रोड हो गई है. So hats off to them. Now what I want to do tell you is the integration of various plans. Now everything in India, what we are doing is in a standalone method. हमारे यहाँ 2 ही चीजों की बड़ी बीमारी है, बड़ा कष्ट है, अहम और वहम. अहम इसलिए कि यार मैं तो बहुत बड़ा आदमी हूँ, मैं क्यों किसी से बात करूं. वहम, अगर किसी ने पूछ लिया तो वो ये कहते हैं कि अरे साहब ये पूछ क्यों रहा है, इसकी क्या मंशा है, ये क्या करना चाहता है. So all these factors which we have to think, we have to keep them at the back of our mind and serve the community, serve the nation, so that अभी आप ये देखिए NEC की मीटिंग होती है, नेशनल एग्जीक्यूटिव कमेटी की, हर क्वार्टर में मिलना चाहिए उसको, कभी नहीं मिल पाते वो, हम लोग तभी मिल पाते हैं जब कोई क्राइसिस होती है. So all these factors we have to keep it in mind that you see it, disaster mitigation, disaster preparedness, disaster risk reduction is not a day's phenomena. आप ये नहीं कह सकते कि परसों मुझे कुश्ती लड़नी है और आप मुझे कह दें कि साहब आप ये 2 किलो घी है और ये 24 अंडे हैं, खा के परसों कुश्ती लड़ लीजिए. कुश्ती तो क्या, मुझे जुलाब लग जाएंगे. तो कहने का मतलब है it is a ongoing process, it is an assessment. Now, if you see Sendai framework, which is in currency from 2015 till 30, now they have identified 4 priority areas. Understanding the disaster risk. पहले तो समझिए, वो कहते हैं ना कि ताउम्र गालिब यही गलती करता रहा, धूल चेहरे पे थी, आईना साफ करता रहा. आंध्र प्रदेश में मैं था, वहां गया, मैंने कहा भाई मेरा रोल है फ्लड कंट्रोल के लिए, तो मैं देखना चाहता हूँ. तो डीएम साहब से मिला, तो उन्होंने मैथमेटिकली उन जो बोट्स थी उनका डिस्ट्रीब्यूशन कर रखा था. जहां पानी पीने को नहीं था, सूखा पड़ता था, उनको भी बोट्स दे रखे थे. देन आई रिक्वेस्टेड हिम, मैंने कहा डीएम साहब इनको विड्रॉ करिए और वहां दीजिए जहां इसकी जरूरत है. सो वी मस्ट अंडरस्टैंड द डिजास्टर रिस्क, स्ट्रेंथन द डिजास्टर रिस्क गवर्नेंस टू मैनेज. यू सी 2015 की बता रहा हूं मैं, या यूनिफाइड कमांडर्स कॉन्फ्रेंस हो रही थी और ऑनरेबल प्राइम मिनिस्टर मोदी साहब उसको चेयर कर रहे थे, आईएनएस विराट पे चल रही थी. वहां उन्होंने ये आदेश दिए कि भाई हम कम्युनिटी को नहीं लेके चलते हैं. तो उन्होंने कहा कि ब्रिगेडियर साहब कुछ ऐसी एक्सरसाइज बनाइए जिसमें कम्युनिटी के लोग पार्टिसिपेट करें, बिकॉज दे आर द फर्स्ट रिस्पॉन्डर्स. और सालाना 2016 से बदस्तूर ये 3 एक्सरसाइज एक आर्मी करती है, एक नेवी करती है, एक एयरफोर्स कर रही है, वो हो रही है और लोगों को जागरूक किया जा रहा है. Because people who are well informed, they are well armed. Now, build back better. We all know that disasters are developmental losses. 2% of our GDP is lost because of the various disasters in the country, which is hell of a lot. Which is hell of a lot, to the tune of almost, the defense budget. Now, the Sendai framework जिसने बताया है उसमें 7 global targets दिए उन्होंने. Reduction in global. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. I'll wind up. I'll wind
sure.
up.
Thank you.
Okay. Yeah. No, I am a very user-friendly person. Now, if you see the pioneers, if you see Pro Shah in Mumbai, he started cleaning the Warsaw beach in October 2015. 3 years later, nearly 1.6 followers he has, and now the government, students, celebrities have joined him. आप देखिए, he has cleaned 10 million kgs of waste. Now you see वर्सोवा बीच कैसा लगता था आज, और वहां आज देखिए turtles are breeding. Garima Punia, this small girl, this little girl, she had gone to visit Andamans in 2017. She saw the whole, garbage was lying. She gave up her IIT, entrance, this thing, and she started, and she was known as Punia Kachre Wala Project. And with the help of defense personnel there, she had cleaned most of the beaches there. Hats off to such pioneers. Now, certain takeaways: co-opt the technology, response time and capability should be improved. क्योंकि हर आदमी ये सोचता है अरे यार बता देंगे, हो जाएगा, चल रहा है. State of the art equipment, L1 का जो फैक्टर है, क्योंकि हर आदमी चांद पे तो जाना चाहता है, लेकिन ऑडिटर ये कह देता है कि साहब ऑटो रिक्शा का किराया ऑथराइज है. Training at district and state level. There should be joint tests between civil authorities and the armed forces. Specialized training for the armed forces. Disaster relief bricks, 150 करोड़ रुपया सरकार ने मांगा था, आज 2012 से मांग रहे हैं, अभी तक सरकार सैंक्शन नहीं कर पाती है. And interoperability with regional and international relief agencies, that should be there. क्योंकि हमारे यहाँ अगर बाहर अपने कंट्री में जाना है तो ऐसे लगता है जैसे कोई कॉन्फ्रेंस आ जाए और आप अपने बॉस के पास जाएं और कहें कि सर एक बाहर की कॉन्फ्रेंस आई है and I want to attend it, तो वैसे लगता है जैसे आपने उसकी किडनी मांग ली. I have finished because since we are time critical, if you have any questions, you can either message me or you can ask me. और लास्ट में एक यही चीज कहूंगा कि जिंदगी शतरंज के मानित घेरे बैठी है, जिंदगी शतरंज के मानित खेले बैठी है, खेल का तजुर्बा ना हो तो मात लाजमी है. Jai Hind, be prepared, be safe, and enjoy the environment.
Thank you.
Thank you for a very, very passionate and impactful deliberation, sir. As usual, with your Hindi, Urdu, and English, it's always a pleasure, delight to hear you, sir. And
Thank you.
it appeals you right to the core of your heart. Thank you so much, sir.
Sanjay, we need to also acknowledge the presence of Mr. Takdeer Singh from Max Life Insurance. He was the former country head. So thank you, Takdeer Singh ji, for the joining this event.
Thank you, sir. My pleasure to all of you. Great going, great journey by you all. First time I am attending, but I'm really impressed the wonderful job you are doing to the nation. Thank you so much.
Thank you, sir, for joining, and please be our ambassador and guide us, lead us.
Sure, sir, sure.
Thank you so much. In fact, risk financing has become an important domain. Risk financing, environment economy, climate economy, and insurance has come up in a big way. And we have a state like Nagaland, which is 100% insured from all the risks. So that's the level we are reaching. We had a good deliberation even at Mumbai on risk financing. We would also like to acknowledge Major General Naik, who is there, and other participants who are here. Since time is at premium, I would like to move to our next speaker, our godfather in the flood management, Dr. Dinesh Mishra, sir. Over to you, sir.
I must thank KNOW Disasters for inviting me to this meeting and talking to you all. I was a bit sick, so I asked for a postponement of the event for me, but then Akanksha insisted that I should be there, and I'm here. Talking about
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Talking about floods now. Actually, it was a pleasure listening to Brigadier Dutta. It was very interesting. He talked about so many things which was not known to me in the disaster management events. I look at it from a different angle, in the sense that we had our worst flood, one of the worst floods, in 1954 in Bihar. Sinha must be knowing that. And it came in two stages. It all happened in a month of August, if I remember correctly. And there was a debate going on Bihar Vidhan Sabha. Latan Chaudhary, again, Mr. Sinha must be knowing. Latan Chaudhary raised a voice that the flood was caused because we didn't have information that so much of water is coming. The flow of Kosi at Barh Kshetra in Nepal was noticed to be about 850,000 cusecs. And that water was coming. Those days we didn't have these computers and all that, and the system didn't work. So it was wireless. So wireless message was sent. And it comes after the water reached. The message came later. And the people were not prepared. They knew that every year that water comes into the river and all that. So there is nothing much to worry. But since the message was not received, they had a hell of a time. They couldn't take any precautionary measures, and many of the villages after villages were washed away. That was in 1954, first week of August. The floods came once again in the later part of the month. That message did not reach the state, the Patna headquarters, and people were not again prepared. So they had a lot of time. And then Latan Chaudhary later became the agricultural minister and number 2 in hierarchy in the government. He said, if only we had had a pre-warning system in place, probably so much losses wouldn't have occurred. And he said all our insistence should be directed towards early warning of floods. That was in 1954. Recently, somebody sent me a video, our irrigation minister saying that this aspect of floods, that is early warning, was not adhered to or listened to much seriously about early flood warning. And this is the time when it should be doing it with all sincerity. My question is, what the hell was going on for the past 68 years? Why there was this issue which was so important was not discussed and not acted upon the way it should have been? That's the basic question from where our flood management system starts. I mean, we must know what is going to happen. And in that connection, I remember I was in a meeting in Delhi a few years ago. A very senior officer of Central Water Commission was there, and we were discussing floods, and again the same warning system. I asked him, when it comes to radio messages or even on our mobile messages on that such and such place, the flood level is this much, about 2 feet above the
Not audible.
all okay for me?
I'll call him. Okay, he's back.
Is that okay?
अभी ठीक है sir. अभी ठीक है. It's okay.
तो वो हम लोग मैंने शायद आई थिंक मैंने वो बात कर ली है कि हम अब इस पर बहुत सीरियसली काम करने जा रहे हैं। तो फिर हुआ कि भाई 68 साल तक आप कर क्या रहे थे। तो इस बीच में मेरी एक मीटिंग हुई दिल्ली में और वहाँ पर सेंट्रल वाटर कमीशन के बहुत बड़े अफसर वगैरह मौजूद थे। मैंने उनसे कहा कि साहब ये it is 3 feet above the danger mark or 2 feet above the danger mark or not, no, I mean, this is the worst ever flood and so on and so forth. Why don't you give me the travel time that the flood is likely to reach such and such place within 2 hours, 3 hours or 12 hours or whatever. He said, it's very simple. I said, it's not at all simple because it is never announced and we are never told how much time it is going to take. And then that officer tells me, see, with respect to flood levels, the charts are available. And on that, the travel time is marked. So you get the charts and then you look at the time that will be taken to reach your village or whatever. I said, where are those charts? It should be available at the district level or at the block level or at the Thana level or at the Mukhia level, at least. He said, those charts are not available. I knew that chart is not available. I said, why that chart is not available? He says, it's a secret. I said, fair enough. Then how do you expect me to find out the travel time? And why that can't be made public? Now he says, which department you are in? I said, I was never in a job. I never did it. He says, that is how you don't know how the system works. I said, I may not be knowing how system works, but then my problem is how much time it is going to take so that I move to safety. So they said, no, those charts will not be available. Now, I don't get still, it may be about 4 or 5 years. I still don't get the logic behind it, why those charts are not available and why the time of travel of floods is not announced on the public information system, be it radio, TV and whatever. तो हमारी शिकायतें वहाँ हैं कि छोटी छोटी बातों के लिए हम लोगों को इतने बड़े लेवल पर जा करके मायूस होना पड़ता है कि क्या करेंगे हम लोग। और हमारी सीधी सी बात है जो कि हम लोग फील्ड पर लेवल यानी जो गांव है, और मैं पहले बता दूं कि मैं जहाँ रहता हूँ, मेरा गांव जहाँ है वहाँ से नदी 3 किलोमीटर दूर है और वो छोटी नदी है। हमारे गाँव में कभी बाढ़ नहीं आती, तो मैं उसके बारे में कुछ जानता भी नहीं हूँ। बट देन आई हैव read, studied and spent lot of time in those flood-prone areas. So that's the situation. क्या करेंगे ऐसी situation में हम? Somebody should be concerned about these things, you know. And I don't know how to reach people. About 5 or 6 years ago, I asked Ministry of Water Resources in Delhi that look, whatever jobs you are doing, whatever programs you are taking on flood control, it is only half the story. You are trying to prevent the water from going to habitations. That's the basic purpose of flood control. But water is water, you know, it is not going to obey you. If you prevent from it from going somewhere, it will go to another place. It is not going to stay at one place. It will go to some other place. What we should be doing? So he said it goes to protected areas, you know, so it doesn't matter wherever it goes. I said, no, it doesn't go to protected areas. It goes to unprotected areas and floods the newer areas now. What should be done? So he said, but it's an obvious corollary, it will happen because we have to protect habitations and fields and all that. So if it goes to unproductive field, I said, look, tell me, which area of Bihar is unproductive, where agriculture doesn't take place? So now the fellow keeps quiet, you know, he has got no answer to it because it's highly cultivated area in Bihar or even almost whole of North India. So what we should be doing for its protection? Fed up with all this, I wrote a letter to Ministry of Water Resources that look, whatever is being done in the name of flood control, it is only half the story. We must do something very seriously on drainage part of it so that surplus water or diverted water is given the direct routing to some safe place. Can we do it? After about a year, I get a reply from it about, I think it was in 2017. I get a letter from them and they told me in that letter all the programs that have been taken up in flood control and something on drainage also. And the last line, it says, your idea of appointing a drainage commission is a good proposal and we will look into it. I have not heard from them ever since. If we are not working on drainage, well, we are sure our flood control measures will not be satisfied. We cannot deal with it properly. It's only the job half done. That is one. And the second thing that which I very much wanted to say is, how do we define a disaster in case of floods and all, or even in drought? In my state, Bihar, as far as I know, we have got only two words for floods. You know, one is flood and the other is deluge. And you talk to the people there, he said, yes, the first rain only settles the dust that has spread all over with sand and all in our areas. And that is not a flood. It's a welcome change of weather. Then we start sowing and go to the transplantation stage, which takes about 2 to 3 weeks. And in the meanwhile, the river water travels to our area and goes. That is only the flood. I said, your water coming into your villages, no, that we have got a different name for it. It is not a flood. The first 2 3 arrival of rainwater or the river water is a necessity for us, and we don't call it anything odd that shouldn't be happening. In fact, we welcome it. Then I said, what happens if it goes beyond? This is, look, there are two definitions. One, the floods are scared of a peg to which the cattle are tied. The village, the water comes and reaches the first house in the village where the cattle is pegged, and it retreats from there. Very rarely it goes beyond. I said, no, but then the floods come and there are boats in your village as well. Sometimes it happens. It comes up to plinth level. So I said, is that not a flood? Well, they say, no, it is not a flood. It is bow. When the flood water reaches the plinth, we call it a bow. It's not a flood. That's our definition. Then said, then if it goes beyond the plinth level, they said, then it becomes humma. If it comes to the windowsill level and even beyond, and when the buffalo looks like an elephant by remaining in water for a long time, that's we call humma. And that is the time when we start thinking of releasing the cattle, because if the cattle dies, the cattle is a family member like us. We don't want to see it dying in our face. So we release it, let it go, and whatever it does, wherever if she dies or lives, we can't help it. And then if it comes to the roof level, we call it Sah. And Sah is a flood which nobody can see in his lifetime twice. It only once. It comes after 50, 60 years. And then what happens after Sah? They say then it is Pralay, deluge. So in English, we have only two words, flood and deluge. But in their terminology, we have got three, four other names also. Barh, Bo, Humma, Sa, and Pralay. We as engineers or whatever, we are not aware of their classifications, which bothers them and which does not. So that is the loss of dialogue between the creator and the beneficiary. We don't know what is the language they understand, and we also don't know the language that they speak or the analysis that they have got for the problems that they are facing. So that's very amazing with them, And then also, I was writing a history of floods and drought in Bihar and all that. There were 3 continuous years in just a post-independence period, 50, 51, and 52. They were very severely drought area years. The famine was not declared, so it is only declared as a drought year. Then 53, 4, 5, it is flood. And then 56, 57, 58, it is again drought. And that way the cycle continues. And when we reached 1962, it was a very cold year throughout the North India, the month of January and February. Even in places like Kanpur and Delhi and Agra and all, the water coming out of the hand pumps, that became ice. It was so cold. And I talked to the people in Bihar villages, what had happened in 1962. They said it was a very tough year. But one thing was very good. I said it was a tough year because of cool. What was the toughness in it? Because they say it was tough because it was very cold. But it was good in the sense that we could get a feeling of being in Kashmir that year in our own village. The ice used to deposit on our sloping roofs, and then water used to trickle down. So the whole area was looking like Kashmir. And then
excuse me, sir. Yeah, just request you to, can you please wrap it up?
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay. Yes. Yeah, it was only to tell the gap between the knowledge base at their level and our level. We have to keep a dialogue with them. We don't understand their language and they don't understand ours. In between comes the politician, which understand both. And he take it to his advantage. So I will stop at this point, and maybe sometimes in future when I get into those details. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, sir. In fact, we are really short of time, and it's really, it's a great opportunity to hear you. And with the simplicity, the depth of knowledge, and of course, it reflects the great work which you have done, and we are blessed to have you amongst us, sir. Thank you so much. I'm short of words to express myself. I cannot say, but since it's a timed program, so we had to curtail it, and we will have to move to our next speaker. But really indebted, honored, and Charan sir, for you blessing the occasion today, sir. Thank you so much. We would like to interact more on one-to-one personal basis, sir, after this. I will straight away move, since the paucity of time is there and we'll be finishing on time. So I move on to Vandana ji. For her deliberation, we'll request you to finish it off, to curtail it to 10 minutes, ma'am, so that we finish it off on time. Interactive session is very important because we have to, there are so many distinguished people here, we would like to interact with them. So over to you, Miss Vandana, ma'am.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Srivastav sir. I think I will straightforward, start talking about my topic. So basically today, initially I decided to speak on the heat wave, its impact, and how to mitigate. I mean, what are the mitigation actions? I will,
I'm sorry, but we can't see you clear. We can't
Hello?
see you. Yeah, we can't. We can just see a blur image of yours.
I'm so sorry. I am somewhere in the government office, and
All right.
this is the infrastructure. Yeah. Okay. So, मेरा presentation, maybe I will just briefly, talk about this. Heat wave पे मैं बात करूंगी, लेकिन जो अभी मैं हमारे दो speakers से समझ रही हूँ, और मेरा भी जो काम मैंने आज तक किया है with government as well as with the communities, आज हम जो मेन स्ट्रीमिंग DRR की बात कर रहे हैं, उसमें बहुत सिंपल लैंग्वेज में अगर मैं समझूं तो दो चीजें हैं. इफ वी डिफाइन मेन स्ट्रीमिंग DRR, अगर उसको गवर्नमेंट लेवल पे बात की जाए कि व्हाट इज मेन स्ट्रीमिंग, तो मुझे लगता है कि चार चीजें हैं जो हमें करने की जरूरत है गवर्नमेंट लेवल पे एक्शन पे. वन इज इंटरसेक्टरल कोऑर्डिनेशन, which is missing, and that's why I think I feel that mainstreaming is not there, और है तो बहुत कम लेवल पे है. That's one thing. So एक intersectoral coordination at the policy level is very important. Second thing is inter-agency coordination for response and preparedness. वो भी बहुत जरूरी है, which is again क्योंकि काफी सारे organizations अपने level से काम करते हैं, government अपने level से काम करती है, तो then there is a huge gap, and that's why we can't see the mainstreaming DRR things. तो दूसरा ये है. तीसरी चीज जो मुझे गवर्नमेंट लेवल पे अगेन मेन स्ट्रीमिंग में लग रही है, वो है risk informed planning by increased understanding that DRM is an cross cutting issue. क्योंकि हर एक डिपार्टमेंट को या गवर्नमेंट लेवल पे ये चीज बहुत समझनी जरूरी है, which is thankfully after 2015 SFDRR and National Disaster Management Plan, now many states are working on the disaster risk reduction roadmap, जहाँ पे सारे जितने भी डिपार्टमेंट्स है वो डिपार्टमेंट वाइज एक्शंस DRR के क्या होंगे उसके बारे में बात हो रही है. लेकिन अभी भी फिर भी आई मीन स्टिल आई फील कि कहीं पे अभी भी पॉलिसी लेवल पे DRM को एक सेपरेट सब्जेक्ट देखा जा रहा है. तो इंस्टेड ऑफ डूइंग दैट everyone needs to understand कि this is an cross cutting issue और इस पे सबको काम करने की जरूरत है. एंड फोर्थ थिंग इज, जब पॉलिसी लेवल पे मेन स्ट्रीमिंग की बात की जाए तो वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट इज अंडरस्टैंडिंग योर बेनिफिशियरीज. व्हेन आई से अंडरस्टैंडिंग योर बेनिफिशियरी मीन्स हु आर द वल्नरेबल्स, फॉर व्हाट, एंड व्हाट आर दे वल्नरेबल टू. मतलब क्या चीजें हैं जिससे वो वल्नरेबल दिखते हैं. सो आई थिंक इफ समवन कंसीडर्स, आई मीन डिपार्टमेंट और गवर्नमेंट लेवल पे, इफ दिस 3-4 थिंग्स आर कंसीडर्ड, तो मुझे लगता है कि मेन स्ट्रीमिंग काफी लेवल पे DRR का हो सकता है. तो दैट इज एट द गवर्नमेंट लेवल. अगर हम कम्युनिटी लेवल पे बात करें तो मुझे बहुत सिंपल लैंग्वेज में एक ही चीज समझ में आती है वहां पे, कि वहां पे मेन स्ट्रीमिंग मीन्स practicing risk prevention or practicing risk mitigation activities in your day-to-day actions. जो मुझे लगता है कि अभी भी हम कहीं पे मिसिंग है. लेकिन दत्ता साहब ने अपने प्रेजेंटेशन में बताया था कि वो मीटिंग में थे, मोदी सर भी वहां पे थे, और जो सजेशन हमारे ऑनरेबल प्राइम मिनिस्टर ने दिया, इट्स वेरी वैलिड कि अगर हम कम्युनिटी आर द फर्स्ट रिस्पॉन्डर्स, और अगर ये चीजें उनके डे टू डे प्रैक्टिस में आ गई तो मुझे लगता है कि हम लोगों ने मेन स्ट्रीमिंग DRR कर लिया। सो कम्युनिटी लेवल पे, लेकिन ये करवाने के लिए डे टू डे प्रैक्टिसेस के लिए, as rightly mentioned, many more training programs, many more awareness campaigns, काफी सारी चीजें जो मुझे लगता है कि अभी भी हमें करने की जरूरत है। हालांकि इंडिया में अभी मैंने काफी 14 स्टेट्स पे मैं एक स्कूल सेफ्टी पे काम कर रही हूँ, तो मुझे समझ में आता है कि काफी सारी स्टेट्स ने बच्चों के साथ मेन स्ट्रीमिंग DRR की एक्टिविटीज थ्रू दिस स्कूल सेफ्टी प्रोग्राम तो शुरू कर दी है। सो दैट्स एक्चुअली वेरी वेल एंड वेरी बिग अचीवमेंट फॉर आवर कंट्री, एंड वी हैव सो मेनी केस स्टडीज इन दैट रिगार्ड जो हम बता सकते हैं कि मेन स्ट्रीमिंग यहाँ पे हुआ है। So this is what about mainstreaming according to me. Now I just wanted to quickly move और बहुत सिंपली बताना चाहती थी, और वो ये चीज है कि अभी हम लोग काफी सारे नेचुरल डिजास्टर्स की बात कर रहे हैं, लेकिन आजकल अगर हम डिजास्टर की बात करें और उसमें क्लाइमेट चेंज ना हो तो वो हो ही नहीं सकता, बिकॉज now we every day we have new and emerging risk. उसमें सबसे बड़ा जो इमर्जिंग रिस्क है, अब तो उसको गवर्नमेंट ऑफ इंडिया ने और स्टेट्स ने भी नोटिफाइड किया है, इज अ हीट वेव। तो मैं थोड़ा सा मेन स्ट्रीमिंग हीट वेव में हम लोग कैसे कर सकते हैं, क्या एक्शंस कर सकते हैं, उसके बारे में बस थोड़ा बताना क्विकली चाहती थी, बिकॉज आई हैड अ होल प्रेजेंटेशन बट ड्यू टू टाइम लिमिटेशन मैं अभी वो करना नहीं चाहती हूँ। बट जो एग्जाम्पल्स मैंने अभी इंडिया में देखे हैं कि हीट वेव को लेकर के, ऑफ कोर्स गवर्नमेंट लेवल पे बात की जाए तो काफी सारे सिटीज ने, काफी सारे स्टेट्स ने अपने हीट एक्शन प्लान बना दिए हैं, बट व्हाट इज मिसिंग देयर इज, और जहाँ पे गैप है, मिसिंग नहीं लेकिन छोटा सा जो जिसको गैप बोल सकते हैं, वो है कि प्लान्स आर देयर बट नाउ उसका एग्जीक्यूशन ऑफ दोज प्लान्स, implementation of those heat action plan is missing. So unless and until you do the implementation or execution, you can't mainstream. So mainstreaming is missing in that way. That's the humble suggestion ki government level pe, that's very important. So that's one thing we have observed. सेकेंड थिंग इज मेन स्ट्रीमिंग की हीट वेव के कॉन्टेक्स्ट में बात करें तो अगेन इट्स वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट टू डेवलप नॉट ओनली द हीट एक्शन प्लान एंड इट्स एग्जीक्यूशन, बट साइमल्टेनियसली वी नीड टू लुक एट द लाइवलीहुड स्ट्रेटेजीज, क्योंकि we know that vulnerable people are all the informal groups and their livelihoods are affected due to the this fatal heat situation. तो उस condition में it's very important that since their livelihood is affected, so what are the livelihood strategies that needs to be highlighted and that needs to be focused on. Third thing is, we are talking about the development agenda. That's very common, we all know. But in उसके नाम पे जो deforestation हो रहा है, although government has made the laws for the afforestation, but फिर भी development के साथ जो deforestation हो रहा है, तो how to make the climate friendly development, उस पे अगर बात की जाए तो that's very important. And fourth one is the building bylaws, जिसकी हमें बात करने की बहुत जरूरत है इन टर्म्स ऑफ हीट वेव, बिकॉज वी आर इन इंडिया एंड फिर भी हम लोग अगर ग्लास की बिल्डिंग्स बना रहे हैं तो ऑफ कोर्स एक तरफ हम हीट को मिटिगेट करने की बात कर रहे हैं और दूसरी तरफ हम हीट को बढ़ावा हम ही दे रहे हैं, तो वो चीज भी है जिसको हमें मुझे लगता है कि मेन स्ट्रीमिंग पॉइंट ऑफ व्यू से देखने की जरूरत है. एंड आई थिंक दिस 3-4 थिंग्स आर एट द गवर्नमेंट लेवल जिसमें हीट वेव पॉइंट ऑफ व्यू से अगर हम बात करें तो देखने की जरूरत है. Now in terms of when I say for the community level, जब मैं बात करती हूँ डे टू डे प्रैक्टिसेस की, मैंने बोला that's a mainstreaming according to me, तो उसमें भी अगर हीट वेव के कॉन्टेक्स्ट में बात की जाए तो again we need to make the community aware, not only कि उसकी impact क्या है, आपको डिहाइड्रेशन ना हो तो पानी पीना है, लेकिन नेक्स्ट ईयर उसको अगर हमें उसका इम्पैक्ट कम देखना है तो व्हाट इज इट दैट वी नीड टू डू. तो अगेन वही है कि आप अपने घर भी आजकल ग्लास मटेरियल से बहुत ज्यादा बन रहे हैं, स्पेशली एंट्रेंस हो गया, विंडोज हो गए, बाहर का जो फैंसी दिखावा है सारी चीजों में, तो मुझे लगता है कि उसको हमें बदलने की जरूरत है। और जो हमारा लोकल सिस्टम है बिल्डिंग्स का, उसको हम अगर एडप्ट करेंगे तो हम इसको डिक्रीज कर पाएंगे, बट दैट practice needs to be done at the community level or at a you know the citizen level, I should say. सेकेंड थिंग इज, आई मीन हमने नॉर्मली देखा है कि अगर 200 मीटर के अंतर पे भी जाना है तो हमारे यूथ्स हो या हम खुद भी हो, तो हम लोग ज्यादातर व्हीकल्स का इस्तेमाल करते हैं। आई मीन वी ऑल नो कि ये क्लाइमेट को इफेक्ट करता है, बट ये इसी की वजह से हमारा जो भी धुआं निकला तो पॉल्यूशन भी हुआ और हीट भी बढ़ गया। सो ये भी एक छोटी प्रैक्टिस है, लेकिन हमें इसमें भी हमें काफी सारी अवेयरनेस कैंपेन्स की जरूरत है, जिसको हम प्रैक्टिस करवाने की जरूरत है। थर्ड थिंग इज वेरी स्मॉल थिंग, बट अगेन जो हम बच्चों के साथ करते हैं, बट हम भी खुद उसको प्रैक्टिस करें डे टू डे अगेन, इज द जैसे कि इलेक्ट्रिसिटी है तो उसकी स्विच ऑफ करना, पंखा जरूरत नहीं है तो बंद करो, लाइट जरूरत नहीं है तो बंद करो। हम बोलते रहते हैं, लेकिन हम में से कितने लोग इसको प्रैक्टिस करते हैं, और हमें ये करवाना बहुत जरूरी है टू अगेन फॉर द mainstreaming of the heat related activities, और जिससे हमारा हीट वेव के इम्पैक्ट्स को हम मिटिगेट कर सके, तो उसकी भी मुझे लगता है कि हमें बहुत जरूरत है। तो ऐसी छोटी छोटी बहुत सारी डे टू डे प्रैक्टिसेस है जिसको हम लोग, मुझे लगता है कि प्रैक्टिस करेंगे तो हम लोगों ने मेन स्ट्रीमिंग कर दिया, ऐसा हम बोल सकते हैं। और बस इसी के साथ आई थिंक आई विल क्लोज माय स्पीच ड्यू टू द लिमिटेड टाइम। थैंक यू सो मच। ओवर टू यू सर।
Thank you so much, Vandana ji, for very, very important and being on time, short and sweet. So thank you so much. I would like to hand it over to Shri Anil Kumar Sinha sir for his comments and interactive session after that. Over to you, sir.
नहीं संजय जी बढ़ाइए इसको, आप ही बढ़ाइए। I will come later on.
Thank you so much, sir. In fact, there are a lot of messages on the chat box. I'll request, we have Mr. Takdir Singh who is here. I think he's joined for the first time. So we'll request if you can speak something about, disaster risk and financing.
Right, sir. Thanks for giving me an opportunity. I am a new entrant for this platform, to be very frank. I have been to safety and security vertical in Government of India, plus the corporate sector for 36 years. So whatever best in disaster management we can do is that we need to train the grassroots levels, common citizens. And that start from the school education. I think the student should be taught about the disaster handling. That is more important because in the European countries, people are well trained because they participate in rehearsals as well. Here in India, sometimes we take it lightly or we don't participate. Sometimes we take lame excuse that I'm busy in meeting, I have urgent meeting, I can't attend this mock drill or something like that. So that needs to be improved, but I can't improve everyone, but I can improve myself. So change begin with oneself. So if I am changing myself and I am devoting and contributing towards the country for all such social causes through my personal involvement in schools with school students in enhancing their knowledge on fire safety or the general safety security, I am into that also as a social cause. But I would say that great going as of now in country, and the NDRF and the NDMA are doing wonderful job. whatever disasters or cyclones or something natural calamities are coming. So prediction is there, and the government is doing wonderful job in sending the NDRF team to the concerned state. And nowadays, as compared to the previous years, casualties are no more, and even the loss of assets is also minimized. So that's all from my side this time. Next time, show up in detail. Thank you.
Thank you so much. We have Professor Rajni Srivastava, who is online. May I request Rajni ma'am for your views?
आप सभी को हमारा बहुत बहुत नमस्कार। बहुत समय से मैं इसको फॉलो कर रही हूँ। मुझे हर सेशन में नई चीजें स्पीकर्स से जो बहुत इमिनेंट स्पीकर्स हैं उनसे मिलता है सीखने को। और हमारे अनिल सिन्हा सर तो मैंने जो 2002 में ज्वाइन किया था तब से आज तक हमारे रोल मॉडल है, हमारे आइकन है, और उनको सुनना ही हमारे लिए एक बहुत बड़ा लेसन होता है। मैं एक अपना एक्सपीरियंस शेयर करती हूँ कि 2022 में नेशनल सेंटर फॉर डिजास्टर मैनेजमेंट में जो हमारी एनुअल एजी की मीटिंग होती थी, एनुअल जनरल कॉन्फ्रेंस, तो उसमें थीम ही था कोपिंग विद नेचुरल हैजार्ड्स, लेसन्स ड्रॉन। तो वो जब हमने सुना, वो शायद वहाँ का थीम पेपर था और वो टोटल हमारे अनिल सिन्हा सर ही प्रेजेंट कर रहे थे। और तब मुझे लगा कि सर ने जो वो पूरा अपना उनका जो गाइडलाइंस या जो पूरी हमको उनका लेक्चर हमें बुकलेट फॉर्म में मिला था, उसको हमने नाम दिया था, हेलो
हाँ सुन रहे हैं, प्लीज गो अहेड।
उसको हमने नाम दिया था गीता ऑन डिजास्टर मैनेजमेंट। और वो बुक अभी भी मेरे पास है सर, और बहुत बड़ा हमें सोर्स ऑफ इंस्पिरेशन मिलता है आपसे और आपके इस फोरम में। जितने भी इमिनेंट स्कॉलर्स आते हैं सबको सुन के, चाहे वो सीनियर सिटीजन्स हो, चाहे वो यंगेस्ट हो, जैसे अभी हमने वंदना मिश्रा जी का सुना और हमारी अनिल दत्ता जी ने जो अभी सुनाया है, हमने उनका भी सुना है, विनोद दत्ता जी सॉरी, और सभी लोग, और संजय जी तो हैं ही साथ में। डियर आकांक्षा को भी मैं जब से जान रही हूँ सर, आपने बहुत अच्छा उनके बारे में बोला कि शी इज द फर्स्ट जो फायर ब्रिगेडियर का भी काम करती है और क्विंच करने का भी काम करती है। तो आप सबको हमारा बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद सर। और DRR में हम चिल्ड्रंस के लेवल पे कुछ छोटे छोटे ग्रुप्स बना के ये काम कर रहे हैं, बट ये है कि हम मीडिया से थोड़ा दूर रह के काम कर रहे हैं सर, क्योंकि तब हम क्वाइटली कर ले जाते हैं, क्योंकि काम ये बहुत बड़ा है सर, और मैं अपने हिसाब से उसको कर रही हूँ। सो नाइस ऑफ यू सर, थैंक यू।
संजय जी, जनरल नायक को एंड बाला प्रसाद जी फॉर्मर सेक्रेटरी, उनके कमेंट्स भी आए हैं, उन लोगों को भी बुलाइए।
We request Major General Nayak. He has been with NDMA and he's done hundreds of, response exercises, the mock exercises which NDMA carries out. So we'll request Major General Nayak. Sir, are you there?
He's there. Unmute. Yes.
Thank you so much, sir. I was very, very keenly listening to all the deliberations and a lot of useful things, including what's happening in schools and how in the process of mitigating this heat thing, what needs to be done with building bylaws and all. So very interesting and very important issues have come up. But when we talk of mainstreaming, and I really appreciate सिन्हा साहब who said इसको demystify करना जरूरी है। और mainstreaming मतलब क्या? तो एक ध्यान मेरे मन में ये आया है कि mainstreaming like we have to be disaster specific, geography specific and community specific. I am myself not very clear how to implement ground, but one small thread is when we do the school safety program for children in context of earthquake, and we tell them wo jhuko dhako pakdo school mein, and then we do a drill where this every class teacher takes the head count after the tremors have stopped. So that itself reduces about 80% of head injuries to children, and that is a specific exercise in a specific area for a specific kind of hazard, as earthquake. So similarly, we have to design various things at various levels, because earthquake thing may not be universal for complete India, or for that matter floods. But this one thought came, and also Brigadier Dutta spoke of reduced vulnerability or reduce the hazard. Reduce to hota nahi, but mitigate ho sakta hai. But when we talk of mitigating, reducing the vulnerability, really find out ways and means. The learned lady spoke about teaching children how to switch off the lights, because we have to save energy. A lot of energy comes from fossil fuels and then linked to climate change. So all that is well understood. Now we have to now say, develop some techniques with which children and every citizen feels how is he vulnerable. How is he vulnerable by wasting electricity? How is he vulnerable by wasting water? And it has started. It has started. Other day, my granddaughter in Srinagar was saying कि पानी बरस रहा है, एक बाल्टी बाहर रख देते हैं और इसको हम पेड़ में use करेंगे. So it's happening in schools. No one is teaching them, but a lot of ground has been covered. But जब सिन्हा सर ने demystifying बोला, तो ये दिमाग मेरे मन में आया कि बहुत कुछ अभी करने का उसमें जरूरत है, जहाँ के हर आदमी, like we have for road accidents, now wearing seat belt itself is a mainstreaming of risk reduction or road accidents. Now everyone puts on a seat belt. If I don't put on a seat belt, my wife who's sitting next to me doesn't let me drive the car. So that is what is actually mainstreaming at individual level, and that has to come to all kind of disasters in specific areas depending on what happens where. The one thought I must share with you, and exactly it needs to be defined well. Second was the development and disaster. The linkage is well known, spoken just in this gathering also. But the disaster impact assessment and the environmental impact assessment, I spoke to some very responsible people in government. They said, "ये तो होता है, हम सब कुछ करते हैं," but a lot of it remains in the is not in public domain. When Terry Dam was made, what all went into it, very few people know, and I'm sure with given the scientific community country, they have done a good job. No one is saying all that, but the impact assessment for environment and disasters, like right now, all the development, tourism development going on, Vaishno Mata area, last 18 kilometers, still hilly area. Every now and then yatra is stopped because there is overcrowding. So this another risk we have created. Now we are managing it. So whether our development, take it's my own hometown, famous Kashi, Varanasi. Now there is a limit to what load a city, a town can take. And later on, we develop in such a way that there are social issues, religious issues, there are emotions involved, everything understood. But still we want to avoid disasters. So we have to really see what development we are doing, and how it will impact us in the long run and not in the short run. So that was one important thing, and we should stop talking of disasters and climate change separately now. It is a foregone conclusion, both are linked. Climate change will cause disasters. Climate change will cause displacement of populations. Climate change will cause rise of water levels. We had Bangladesh war in 71 because population shifted because of tyranny of the Pakistani rulers in East Bengal, East Pakistan. But this time the population may move for causes of rise in water level, the economic causes, the livelihood causes. So we don't know what shape it will take. So the climate change and disaster management, both are linked, and the very fact that we have two complete different ministry looking after climate change, and for the Minister of Forest, etc., and other MHA looking after this is also an issue, but they are integrated. There are a lot of joint delivery going on. A lot of schemes done by the Prime Minister today, the government of India today, are all focused at this. It could be green hydrogen, it could be solar energy. Everything is going in sync, but still a lot of ground needs to be covered. I thought I'd share this with you. Thank you, sir.
Thank you so much, sir, for your efforts. In fact, we have now a Sachet app the Common Alert Protocol, which has been commissioned by NDMA, and all living in NCR region should vouch for it, that the thunderstorm which came yesterday, 24 hours in advance, the early warning was sent by Sachet, SMS alert. It was available to people. So it was something really great, which is helpful. So a lot of actions are happening. In fact, Brigadier Dutta, what he said, that a lot of things are in document, but action is missing on field. Really,
Yes.
I see the school safety plan in place, but not a single lightning arrestor in the school. So
Yes.
you are making the school vulnerable. The plan, unless you act, there is action, there is no point having a plan. Rather, you are investing in making so much of consultancy charges, invest on actions. Now I will invite.
Precisely, it has to be hazards, disaster specific. Earthquake के साथ साथ आपका lightning का भी हर स्कूल में बच्चों को पता होना चाहिए जो gap है. One point I wanted to for slipped my mind, for risk reduction, for mainstreaming the significance of
You have gone mute, sir.
बाला प्रसाद जी और चंदन घोष जी को बुलाइए.
And because of the drills and because emergency operation 8 July, there was an accident. There was floods next to the shrine, and as it would happen, everyone was in action. Everything was in place because of rehearsals, etc. Done at state level, done by the state government and armed forces together. But specifically, when the divisional commissioner reached there in the morning, the honorable governor sahab was there. There was some issues to do with some glaciers in which people thought some bodies got stuck. And because we had done our homework, we knew who is where. Dr. Zubair, scientist F of SASE, was sitting in Gulmarg, and he was flown from there to the Amarnath shrine within a couple of minutes. And then he landed there and he said, don't touch this snow, do this, do that, otherwise there will be floods downstream. This is the kind of integration we need when we do the emergency operation center SOPs or the incident response system SOPs. So these systems in country are happening for the last 8-10 years. They need to be further strengthened at all levels. The example I gave by design. Thank you so much.
Thank you, sir. Now I invite Mr. Bala Prasad. May I request you to please switch on your screen and
He's visible.
express your views, please.
Unmute कीजिए Balaji. Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you for giving me the opportunity to speak. I have points that if you see NDMA and then we have SDMA at the state level, then you have a DDA at district level. But below district, there is no structure. And that structure can be supplemented by Panchayat. And Panchayat planning has taken a strong root. Therefore, disaster risk reduction should not be just talked about in this type of program. Of course, it's very important to talk in this and create awareness. But if it is discussed at the Chaupal level, at the Gram Sabha level, that will be much better and much more fruitful. And therefore, there is a need to mainstream disaster risk reduction with the Panchayat planning. Whenever Gram Panchayat development plan is prepared, it should also have integrated disaster risk reduction planning also. And therefore, from Panchayat planning start from 2nd October, we have still some time. And so that this year, at least, we should try to make it. And therefore, if we can approach NDMA or you can approach Ministry of Panchayati Raj, this is the right time to get it pushed. And Panchayat planning happens both at the three levels: Gram Panchayat level, Gram Panchayat development plan; block level, Block Panchayat development plan, and this.
Can't hear you. I think थोड़ा disconnect हो गए हैं बालाजी. चंदन घोष जी हैं. चंदन घोष जी हैं तो उनको बुलाइए. नहीं तो हम लोग और लोगों को ले.
We have Ashok Dhingra, sir. Mr. Ashok Dhingra, sir, he is a veteran.
Yes, sure, please.
Mr. Ashok Dhingra, may I request you, sir, to please express your views.
हेलो सर, मैं आई ऑडिबल?
जी हाँ,
Yes,
you are audible.
अच्छा, मैं ये कहना चाह रहा था कि अभी कुछ मेरे ख्याल 8वें महीने में स्कूलों के अंदर कुछ ट्रेनिंग प्रोग्राम चालू हो रहा है, तो उसके अंदर सभी को क्यों नहीं बुलाया गया? जितने भी सिविल डिफेंस के वार्डन हैं या वॉलंटियर्स हैं ट्रेंड, उनको स्कूलों के अंदर क्यों नहीं भेजा जा रहा? कुछ सिलेक्टेड लोग ही भेजे जा रहे हैं, ऐसा कारण क्या हो सकता है?
ये दिल्ली डिजास्टर मैनेजमेंट अथॉरिटी के इंटरनल के सब्जेक्ट हैं सर, आप मुझे डिटेल बता दीजिए, वी विल टेक इट अप विद देम।
नहीं, अभी पीछे लिस्ट आई थी, सिर्फ 2-4 लोगों को ही जो इन्होंने स्कूलों के लिए लगाया गया, जो 8वें महीने से शुरू होना है, फ्रॉम अगस्त। तो इतने जो हमारे वार्डन हैं, उन वार्डन को क्यों नहीं भेजा जाता?
सर ये हमारे
उनकी एक टीम बनाई जाए ताकि बच्चों को स्कूल में जाके, क्योंकि अभी तो कॉलेज के अंदर हमने अटेंड किया था, उसमें भी स्कूल के कॉलेज के बच्चों को भी मतलब पार्टिसिपेट करवाया गया था, मेरे ख्याल से करवाया गया था, तो उनसे बच्चे भी काफी एजुकेट हुए, तो ऐसे स्कूलों के बच्चों को भी करवाना चाहिए।
I think Navdeep is also present here. Navdeep, can you throw some light on this? Sir, we'll convey your point. We have Divya Gupta. She is here. May I request Divya, please?
गुड इवनिंग सर, गुड इवनिंग संजय जी, गुड इवनिंग वंदना। तो बहुत अच्छी अपॉर्चुनिटी आप लोग दे रहे हैं हम सबको, कि जिससे हम इन बहुत अच्छे आर्टिकल्स के साथ में कम्युनिटी तक पहुंच सकते हैं। मैंने पिछले 3-4 महीनों में, जब से मैं जुड़ी हूँ आप सबके साथ में, मैंने इस मैगजीन को काफी सारे जो कम्युनिटी लेवल पे लोग हैं या जिन नेटवर्क्स में मैं काम करती हूँ, नॉट ओनली DRR, अदर सेक्टर नेटवर्क्स ऑल्सो, काफी लोगों को सर्कुलेट किया, और सारे लोग उस पर काफी मतलब बहुत पॉजिटिव फीडबैक दे रहे हैं कि ये एक ऐसा सब्जेक्ट है जिसमें लोगों की अदर देन सेक्टर पीपल बहुत कम जानकारी है। तो ये काफी एक छोटा मतलब इवन मदर्स के मुझे बहुत कॉल्स आते हैं जिनको मैं शेयर करती हूँ कि उनको अपने बच्चों को बता रही है कि देखो इस मैगजीन में ये लिखा है, वो पढ़ के उसका मीनिंग समझा रही हैं। तो काफी अच्छा ये एक एफर्ट है। और मैं एक पर्सनल एक्सपीरियंस शेयर करना चाह रही हूँ सर। करीब 1 महीने पहले की बात है, मेरी बेटी अभी 4.5 साल की है, तो मेरे पड़ोसी के बच्चों के साथ खेल रही थी, 3 बच्चे खेल रहे थे, तो मेरी बेटी एकदम से बोलती है, शाउट करती है, अर्थक्वेक अर्थक्वेक अर्थक्वेक, चलो सब लोग टेबल के नीचे आ जाओ, नहीं तो आप अफेक्ट हो जाओगे। तो मुझे सरप्राइज लगा, क्योंकि नर्सरी में वो पढ़ रही थी उस टाइम पे, अभी तो स्कूल बंद है उसका, कि इतने छोटे बच्चे को अर्थक्वेक किसने बताया, क्योंकि मैंने तो उसको अभी इसके बारे में कभी नहीं बताया, मैं तो उसको नॉर्मल स्टोरी सुनाती हूँ। तो मैंने उसको पूछा तो बोलती यूट्यूब। तो मुझे बड़ा अच्छा लगा कि बच्चे मतलब अलग अलग माध्यम से चीजें सीख रहे हैं, तो क्यों ना हम ये जो प्री प्राइमरी वाले बच्चे हैं जो अभी तक हमारे सेक्टर में कवर नहीं किए गए हैं, कुछ मतलब मैं भी उसमें कंट्रीब्यूट कर सकती हूँ सर। जैसे प्रथम में हम लोग जो स्टोरीज हमने देखी हैं कि बहुत रोचक तरीके से बच्चों को सब्जेक्ट के बारे में बताया जाता है कि ऑनेस्टी क्या चीज है, सच बोलना क्या चीज है। ऐसे ही हमारे सेक्टर के बारे में बहुत छोटे बच्चे जो है 4 से 6 साल के बीच वाले बच्चे, जिनको समझ बहुत अलग लेवल पे है, उनको भी सर हम हेल्प कर सकते हैं इसके थ्रू। तो आई कैन ऑल्सो कंट्रीब्यूट कि हम एक छोटा सा कॉलम छोटे बच्चों का एक स्टोरी के फॉर्म में रख सकते हैं, आधे पेज का, जहाँ पे पिक्चोरियल, जहाँ मदर बच्चों को वो स्टोरी पढ़ के सुना सकती है सर। थैंक यू सर।
हाँ, यहाँ 1 मिनट में एक बात शेयर करना चाहूंगी।
जी सर, जी मैम।
हाँ, वो हम लोग एक सिलेबस बना रहे हैं जिसमें हमने अर्ली चाइल्डहुड केयर एंड एजुकेशन में जो 3 इयर्स का है कोर्स, उसमें फ्रॉम द वेरी बिगिनिंग, फ्रॉम 3 to 4, 4 to 5, 5 to 6, हमने बच्चों के लिए जैसे हमारे जो 5 तत्व हैं उनको लेकर के, सन और मून को लेकर के, पृथ्वी आकाश, वो सब चीजें हम ले रहे हैं। और ये अब ऐसा नहीं है कि 3 साल के बच्चे वो डिजास्टर मैनेजमेंट में जा ही नहीं सकते। हमारा पूरा फोकस ये है कि सिंस द वेरी बिगिनिंग, और ये जो इनिशियल हमारी 3 इयर्स है, प्री नर्सरी या प्री नेटल या जिसको हम आंगनवाड़ी कहते हैं, बाल वाटिका, हम यहीं से उनको शुरू करने जा रहे हैं। और भगवान ने चाहा तो बहुत जल्दी हम इस पे काम भी करेंगे। और हमको इसलिए अच्छा लगा कि आपने इस चीज को नोटिस किया। और सर की जो नो डिजास्टर मैगजीन है तो अपने भी कमाल कर रही है। हमने कई जगह इनको शेयर किया है और हमें इतना अच्छा फीडबैक मिल रहा है कि शायद ये आने वाले समय में एक बहुत बड़ा एसेट होगा लिटरेचर का, लिटरेरी एसेट होगा, ट्रेजर होगा। थैंक यू सर।
I would like to invite Asif. He has been our founding executive editor. How you feel about the magazine and the current status and your view, please. Asif Sahab. Asif, are you there?
He has been.
You know,
sorry, I was on mute.
Yeah, please call after this Gauri Shankar Sharma ji also. In his place in Australia, it is getting midnight, you see. Yeah, Asif.
Yes, sir.
Please go ahead.
Yes, sir. It has been a wonderful journey, sir. Seeing this no disaster, gaining momentum and the kind of coverage which you are covering with regard to the disaster risk reduction. And this issue, primarily focuses on the DRR in the development processes, and that is exactly the need of our. So I like to recall the old, your old saying, a caption which you developed while working with BSDMA, that विकास ऐसा ना हो कि आफत बन जाए, विकास, sorry sir, unable to recall it. तो इस तरह का आपने कुछ इस तरह निकाला था सर। तो
विकास ऐसा हो जो हमें आफत से बचे।
हाँ, exactly.
ये तो
ये जो था सर, ये काफी हम लोग अभी भी याद रखते हैं। That is the mantra.
Nucleus of the disaster management.
That is the mantra of entire disaster management. So thank you very much, sir.
I'll request now, thank you, Asif. I'll request now Mr. Gauri Shankar Sharma from Australia for his views, please.
Hi, everyone. Okay, good evening. And maybe my side is going to be midnight and very freezing Melbourne. Nearly about 5 degrees now in my area. Sorry, guys. Okay, I'm not going to elaborate anything. Okay, very pertinent and very fantastic discussion, and I have been regular viewer or participant on this one. Only 4 points I'm going to make it. Number one, now we need to concentrate on reducing the downtime from the disaster. Downtime is the time that how the business can immediately rebound, how to downtime, how to reduce the downtime into the business to come back. And that has to be focused on. And also the focus should be on the displacement management. Displacement management is regarding the human resources, physical capital, human capital, plus everything that need to be done. So the number 1 point is downtime and displacement management. Number 2, I already said before the meeting starts, is the G20. So my suggestion is the esteemed professor and doctor and great knowledgeable person like Dr. Anil Sinha, he can start the recovery platform for resilient Asia. Under the guidance of G20, he can start for the recovery platform for resilient Asia. That could be one of the points, that he can start with. And the third one is the dialogue forum. That means India and global DRR, India and global disaster risk reduction. That's a part of the that maybe you can bring as a subset of the UN DRR, UNISDR, now UN DRR. So you can bring the part of that India and global disaster risk reduction dialogue forum, that you can bring it. And also the fourth point may be relevant or may not be relevant. Why don't you invite not me, I'm not an Indian, but anyway, but I'm saying that why don't you invite your privacy Bharatiya Samman awardee people? Okay, the President of India, okay, honored intellectuals all around the world, and there are few people being awarded as a disaster risk management specialist, especially from Japan, especially from US, other people. Why don't we bring them to the dialogue and talk about this? So that, okay, fourth point is privacy, Bharatiya Samman awardee invitation and incorporation. So these are the 4 points I want to make it. Other than that, fantastic work, beautiful, and my honor and my proud privilege that I am still with my mentor, because I worked with, okay, the Professor Dr. Anil Sinha in Japan and everything, and still we are in very close touch. And unfortunately, my two people wanted to join today. One is Vasantan IRS, because Indian Revenue Service Officer, but due to some raids in Tamil Nadu, he's so busy, he couldn't come. And also, another friend of mine, Nilgiri District SP, Superintendent of Police, Mr. Prabhagar, he's my junior colleague in one. He just sent me the message, please send my information, my best wishes to them. Sorry, I'm in a meeting with the district ASPs and DCPs. So those two things. So that please, guys, okay, please try to say that downtime and displacement management and recovery platform for resilient Asia, and also India and global disaster risk reduction dialogue platform, and also bringing in the privacy Bharatiya Samman awardees. Thank you, guys. That's my
thank you. Yes, Sanjay ji.
Yes, sir. So this is very, very important point, Mr. Gauri Shankar Sharma. We'll take note of it. And Mr. Bala Prasad, sir, he has joined again. We missed out on him. So we would like to inform you, sir, that now the new national disaster management programs which are there, that is on earthquake, landslide, and lightning, all these plans have Ministry of Panchayati Raj as a leading partner. And these all disaster risk management programs at national level shall be implemented focused towards Gram Panchayats, and it will be passed in the resolution of Gram Sabha, GPDP, Block Development Plan, Subdivisional Development Program, and Jila Parishad has been also incorporated along with the DDMA. So this is the level of implementation which the next programs are. Now, I'll hand over to Sinha, sir, for his deliberation before we close down.
I think, yes, thank you. Thank you, Sanjay ji. I do not know if there are some people, some participants, okay, part लेना चाहते हैं, बोलना चाहते हैं, लेकिन आज के लिए हम लोग माफी मांगेंगे क्योंकि 5:27 हो गया है, अब 5:30 से आगे हम लोग नहीं बढ़ेंगे। जो पंचायती राज की बात है, मैं बाला प्रसाद जी से एक रिक्वेस्ट करना चाहूँगा। एक तो बाला प्रसाद से रिक्वेस्ट है कि आप क्लोजली इन्वॉल्व हो जाएं, गाइड करें, उनका बहुत ही अच्छा एक पर्सपेक्टिव है, एक्सपीरियंस है, मैंने काफ़ी देखा है, हम लोग काफ़ी इंटरेक्ट किए हैं सिविल सर्विसेज के इंटरव्यू बोर्ड में, वो भी थे, हम भी थे। दूसरी चीज़ है कि हम लोग क्या कोई तरीका हो सकता है कि समय समय पर हम पंचायतों के साथ, कुछ गिने चुने पंचायतों के साथ, मान लिया स्टेट वाइज हम बिहार से अगर शुरू करें एक एग्जाम्पल के लिए, क्या हम किसी 5 पंचायत के साथ इस तरीके से वीडियो लिंक स्थापित करके उनसे बात कर सकते हैं कि उनके यहाँ डिजास्टर मैनेजमेंट के लिए वो अपने पंचायत में क्या कर रहे हैं, वहाँ पे पंचायत के और क्या काम है और वो क्या कर रहे हैं, रिस्पॉन्स के लिए क्या कर रहे हैं, वॉलंटियर्स हैं कि नहीं, फिर वो मिटिगेशन के लिए क्या कर रहे हैं, पंचायत के स्तर पर प्लान क्या है इत्यादि। फिर हम लोग दूसरे में इसको कब कब करें हम लोग डिसाइड कर सकते हैं, लेकिन मुझे आइडिया गया कि अगर ये बात सही है, जैसा बालक प्रसाद जी ने कहा कि काफी काम हो रहा है पंचायतों के स्तर पर, बहुत ही स्ट्रेंथन किया गया है, और हम लोग अगर उनके साथ कनेक्ट हो करके उनकी बात सुन सकें, शेयर कर सकें, तो ये हम लोग के लिए बहुत ही एनरिचिंग होगा। और वो जो पंचायतों की स्टोरीज होंगी वो बहुत अच्छा रहेगा। हम लोग पंचायतों पर एक सीरीज कैसे चलाएं, हमारे जैसे बुक फोरम या पायनियर्स ऑफ इंडिया इन डिजास्टर मैनेजमेंट जो भी आकांक्षा ने शुरू किया है, उससे हम लोग एक फीचर शुरू करें जो लगातार रहे, हर साल रहे, वो पंचायतों पर होना चाहिए। कितनी पंचायत से हम लोग जानते हैं बिहार में 50% तो रिजर्वेशन है विमेन का, और बहुत जगह है, बाला प्रसाद जी हमसे ज़्यादा बेहतर जानते हैं कि जहाँ पर विमेन का जो लीडरशिप है, रिजर्वेशन है, इत्यादि इत्यादि। तो हम लोग इस चीज़ को करें तो वो अपने आप में बहुत ही अच्छा एनरिचिंग रहेगा। अब मैं चाहूँगा कि अल्तमश जो है ये वोट ऑफ थैंक्स दे और हम लोग इसको क्लोज करें। थैंक यू। Altumas, please.
Thank you, sir. Thank you so much. And thank you to all the kind esteemed speakers and all the esteemed audiences from different walks of life and backgrounds and working sectors. You found time to attend this long meeting and this deliberations. We got to hear from Shri Dinesh Mishra sir, then Brigadier Vinod Dutta sir, then Vandana Chauhan ji, then also from our guru for everyone, for No Disaster magazine, for many of the professionals, Anil Sinha sir. And we are also thankful to our moderator, Sanjay Srivastav sir, and to Shri Akansha ma'am for taking this effort every time to organize this program continuously without any fail, frequently every 2 months. So this is going to be a very good journey for this team, and we are going forward. And Asif Sahasra, as you mentioned, that now it is gaining momentum, it is reaching to different walks of life. So it's a very good feeling for all the team members and everyone associated with this magazine and this journey. So thank you again, and thank you so much to everyone who participated in today's launch ceremony of this May 2023 issue. And more importantly, it's like a humble request that more than just participating in this webinar and going out, let's take it forward to our family, to our friends, to everyone who are associated with this. So thank you again. So I'd like to conclude here.
Thank you, अल्तमश, बहुत बहुत शुक्रिया। इसके पहले हम लोग डिस्कनेक्ट करें, दिव्या गुप्ता जी हैं तो मैं उनको रिक्वेस्ट करूँगा अपना जो है प्रोफाइल।
जी सर।
आप कहाँ पर काम करते हैं मैडम?
सर मैं सीट्स में हूँ, सीट्स में मनु गुप्ता जी के साथ।
ओह अच्छा, ओके। तो आप अपना ये कांटेक्ट जो है
जी सर जी
शेयर कर दीजिए, इसी पर चैट में कर दीजिए।
जी सर। सर मेरे पास आपका व्हाट्सएप नंबर है, मैं आपको संजय जी को भेज देती हूँ।
ठीक है। थैंक यू
सर, थैंक यू।
बहुत बढ़िया।
Thank you so much, Divya ma'am.
बहुत अच्छा लगा।
Thank you so much, sir. It has been a wonderful launch of the magazine, and we hope that everybody will be benefited by the magazine. We will request that everybody should share the magazine with his friends, families, academic institutions, in the office, and let the good knowledge spread around. It's a very good magazine, and your feedback is also solicited. Please get feedback and please do share with us the feedback about the magazine. Please encourage professionals, identify professionals, encourage them to write on the topic in No Disasters magazine. Let's make disaster everybody's business. With this, I would like to seek
घर में जितने बड़े बुजुर्ग हैं उनसे स्टोरीज, उनके एक्सपीरियंस पर आधारित स्टोरीज को कलेक्ट करें और शेयर करें, वो बहुत बड़ी धरोहर हो।
सिन्हा सर,
हाँ बोलिए।
आपने आज जो सारे एपिसोड पुराने गिना दिए तो आज मजा आ गया।
थैंक यू।
वो बचपन की सारी यादें जो है ना ताजा हो गई। कैसे भूत प्रेतों की कहानियां भी सुनाया करते थे।
हाँ बिल्कुल।
एक बार तो मेरे साथ एपिसोड हुआ था ऐसा। हमारे पड़ोस में नानी जी रहती थी, वो कहानी सुना रही थी, जिस एक्शन में बात कर रही थी, मेरे को ऐसा झटका लगा, शॉक्ड हुआ कि मैं बेहोश हो गया।
हम लोग को उस एज में चंदा मामा की कहानियां और जो ऐसे लोकतंत्र की कहानियां, पंचतंत्र की कहानियां, तो उस एज में वापस जाने की जरूरत है, नहीं तो हम लोग अपनी धरोहर को, सीख को, बहुत से लेसन्स को पीछे छोड़ते जा रहे
हैं। रियली आज जो एक एक चीज जो आपने गिनवा दी, आई एम रियली थैंकफुल टू यू। क्योंकि वो चीज वापस नहीं आएगी अब।
आएंगे सर, टेक्नोलॉजी का एक रोल है, वो ठीक है, लेकिन इन चीजों को छोड़ना नहीं चाहिए। दिस इज व्हाट
नहीं छोड़ना चाहिए, सही बात है।
Very quickly, one thing, very quickly, fantastic that I'm learning Hindi. Okay, right? Fantastic for me. One thing. Other one is I love to invite you all for at one of the face-to-face conference sometime next year in Australia. That I'm just in touch with my faculty and my uni and UN office and other people around. And of course, Anil Sinha sir will be there, and also a couple of other people. And also, I'm teaching to the MBA program, MBA in disaster management for La Cordon Bleu from France, the Paris, but they are operating the Melbourne campus here. I am teaching in that subject. So I may sometimes invite a couple of guest speakers to come and talk, or guest lecturers to come and talk here in the one. So that in that case, only my focal point is Anil Sinha sir. Then I will talk to him, and Anil Sinha sir, you can specify, you can divert, or you can recommend some people to come and talk, not in French but in English.
Okay.
To my program. Okay. So that I will modify and I will send it to you guys and everything. But thank you very much. You are teaching me Hindi.
We have Yogaraj. We have Yogaraj from Himachal Pradesh. May I request Yogaraj, please say your point. Yogaraj ji, please.
सर नमस्कार सभी को। बेसिकली मैं योगराज हिमाचल प्रदेश से सोशल वॉलंटियर DDMA के साथ मिलकर जो है हम सर एक सर्व की हमारी टीम है जो रेड क्रॉस सोसाइटी के साथ मिलकर काम करती है। जैसे हमारा डिजास्टर मैनेजमेंट है उसको कैसे हैंडल करना है, और जैसे उसके बाद सबसे पहले आता है कि फर्स्ट एड कैसे करना है, और ये सारी चीज़ें जो हम स्कूलों के अंदर भी करवा रहे हैं और ग्राम पंचायतों के अंदर भी करवा रहे हैं सर। और ये बेसिकली हम विभाग के साथ 2012 से मिलकर जो है काम कर रहे हैं सर। और बेसिकली सर एक बात कहने को, और जैसे हमने अभी भी सुना है कि जैसे अभी पंचायती राज के साथ हम कर तो रहे हैं सर, पर वहाँ पर होता क्या है कि उनका बहुत ज़्यादा फेलियर पाया जाता है कि वो पूरी तरह से कर ही नहीं पाते हैं। अब डिजास्टर मैनेजमेंट प्लान जो पंचायतों ने बनाना था, लेकिन वो कुछ कागजों में बनता है, बेसिकली उसको इम्प्लीमेंट नहीं किया जाता है। ये सबसे बड़ा दुखद बात होती है, क्योंकि सर डिजास्टर मैनेजमेंट एक ऐसा सब्जेक्ट है कि इसको हमें हल्के में नहीं लेना चाहिए। हम तो ये चाहते हैं कि इसकी जानकारी जो है वो आखिरी व्यक्ति तक पहुंचने के लिए प्रयास किए जाएं। उससे हर वार्ड स्तर पर हमें एक डाटा होना चाहिए कि हर वार्ड स्तर में कितनी जनसंख्या रहती है, उसमें से हमने कितने लोगों को अवेयर किया और कितने हमारे वहाँ पर अवेयर करने को जो है बच रहे हैं। ये सबसे बड़ा इशू है सर, क्योंकि हमने देखा कि बहुत बड़ा फेलियर है। हमने इवन पंचायतों के अंदर जो है एक सर्व की टीम बनाई हुई है, 15 से 20 लोगों की जो आपदा प्रबंधन कमेटी होती है हर पंचायत के अंदर। लेकिन सर जब उनको फोन करते हैं, कभी आपदा होती है, तो वहां पर वो लोग जो है मौजूद ही नहीं होते हैं। अब ये सबसे बड़ा फेलियर है सर। और रही बात, फिर हमने स्कूलों के अंदर भी मैक्सिमम इस कार्यक्रम को जो है जारी कर रखा है, पर लेकिन अब सवाल ये आता कि हम तो सर उसको वॉलंटियरली कर रहे हैं, लेकिन वॉलंटियरली बहुत देर चलता नहीं है, क्योंकि हम चाहते हैं कि इसका एक ऐसा जो प्रोजेक्ट है वो दिया जाए, क्योंकि हर स्टेट के अंदर जो है, हर डिस्ट्रिक्ट के अंदर जो है डिस्ट्रिक्ट जो DDMA की हमारी कमेटियाँ बनाई जाती है, लेकिन उसके अंदर भी बजट का प्रावधान होता है, पर उसको किस तरह से इम्प्लीमेंट किया जाना इसका भी
ठीक
कोई
है, ठीक
प्रावधान
है। योगदास जी, हम लोग बात करेंगे इन चीजों पर, बात
बिल्कुल
करेंगे।
नेक्स्ट टाइम हम अवश्य बात करेंगे, और जो इन टाइम से भी हम ज्वाइन हो जाएंगे। लेकिन मेरी रिक्वेस्ट रहेगी, जो चलो अभी हम ग्रुप में हैं सर, जो भी आपकी मीटिंग्स होंगी उसको हम अटेंड करेंगे, क्योंकि ये सब्जेक्ट हमारा बहुत
ठीक है। तो अब हम लोग आई थिंक
थैंक यू वेरी मच सर, आपने बोलने का मौका दिया।
थैंक यू, थैंक यू, थैंक यू। आपने
तो
बहुत
मुझे-
अच्छी बातें कही, और जमीन पर क्या हकीकत है उसकी बातें कही, बहुत।
सिन्हा जी,
संजय जी, प्लीज क्लोज।
With this, with the permission of Shri Anil Kumar Sinha sir, the chair of the event today, we hereby declare the event closed.
Thank you, thank you, thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you, all of you again.
We meet again in the July end, with lightning. I think that is
Yes.
going to be the next issue on lightning. We'll meet. Okay, then,
Sure.
thank you. Till we meet
Thank you.
again
Bye,
in July.
everyone.
Yeah.
Thank
namaskar.
you. Thank you all.